watching Fox 4 News at 9.
Supporters of President Joe Biden gathered outside the White House today holding signs like this one saying, "Thank you, Joe," and "My future is brighter because of you." And thank you for joining us here at 9. I'm Shannon Russo. This all comes after President Biden announced he is dropping out of the presidential election. Reporter Maddie Biertempfel is in Washington, D.C. with more tonight.
President Joe Biden said it's been the greatest honor of his life to serve as president. He said he's proud of what he's done in office the past 3.5 years, but it's time to step down from this race. President Joe Biden will not seek re-election. He made the announcement on X, writing, quote, "I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president." Shortly after, he endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. The move comes after intensifying calls for the president to drop out after the June 27th debate, the latest from West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin on ABC This Week.
The time has come for him to pass the torch to a new generation.
Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal said the president's decision put the country before himself.
And he has helped to cement his legacy.
Former President Donald Trump reacted on Truth Social, writing, "All those around him knew that he wasn't capable of being president, and he wasn't." House Speaker Mike Johnson told ABC Democrats could face legal trouble if they try to replace President Biden.
14 million Democrats voted to make Joe Biden the nominee.
The president's endorsement of Harris could also complicate the Democratic National Convention, according to George Washington University professor Casey Burgett.
Remember that she has 0 delegates attached to her name.
But Vice President Harris says she intends to earn the nomination and win in November. President Biden is currently isolating at his Delaware home with COVID. He said he plans to address the nation about his decision later this week. In Washington, I'm Maddie Biertempfel.
Mixed emotions. You'll have to wait and see what unfolds in the next 2 weeks leading up to the convention. I do think that, I appreciate Biden stepping aside, a good example of what it means to be a public servant and not have self-interest. And we'll see how Kamala begins to sway voters, and especially young voters. I'm really excited for her to make some connections there.
People in Vice President Kamala Harris's hometown are speaking out about the change in the race. If she becomes the Democratic presidential nominee and defeats Republican nominee Donald Trump in November, she would become the first female to be elected president of the U.S. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley posting on X saying, quote, "Then resign your office," regarding Joe Biden. If you can't run a mere political campaign, you can't be president. And Kansas Rep. Sharice Davids also posting online saying President Biden has dedicated his life to serving our country, and his time as our president has restored decency to the highest office. By stepping aside from the presidential race today, he has once again put the future of our country first. She goes on to say, now is the time for a new generation of leadership capable of defeating Trump and fighting back against the growing extremism. And she says, Kansas families remain my top priority, and I am committed to doing everything in my power to deliver for them this November and beyond. A little closer to home, Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas talking to Social, saying, quote, "President Biden is one of the finest public servants in our nation's history, and he showed it again today. His presidency saw us rise from challenges of the pandemic era to rising health, safety, and prosperity for our country. I thank him for his work for the American people." Local experts are weighing in on the president dropping out of this race. Fox 4's Lexi French spoke with a political science professor and joins us live tonight with more about the potential impact this has.
Yeah, Shannon, political science professor Matt Harris says that the president's announcement today could have a major impact on discussion, debates, and talking points for both campaigns leading up to November.
But I think it swings that pendulum back from it's all about Joe Biden and his ability to do this job, and more towards discussion of issues and also the qualifications, the abilities of both candidates, and not just sort of this drumbeat on Joe Biden.
Political science professor Matt Harris says the attempted assassination on former President Trump also significantly impacted conversations around the presidential race.
I think the lasting piece is how this influences the discussion. So like, if you see with Donald Trump and if you watch the RNC, the delegates are wearing bandages on their ears, and he really leaned into the assassination attempt some of the speakers saying it was, divine intervention and things like this. So I think that campaign is going to lean into that angle of he's a fighter, he's a survivor.
After withdrawing from the race, President Biden endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. She said Sunday it's her intention to earn and win the nomination.
And I believe the first South Asian candidate, major party candidate, first black woman to be a major party candidate. And then, of course, we've never had a woman president in the history of the country, so there are a lot of historic firsts there. The big question, I think, for the Democrats after this would be organization, right? Being able to decide upon a nominee, that nominee figuring out who their VP nominee is going to be, and then moving forward.
Coming up tonight on Fox 4 News at 10, we'll hear from some local voters, their reaction to this announcement from the president today. Lexi French, Fox 4, working for you.